decks are the Oath of Clerics decks, blue, white, red wizards, and Pox. His deck that was banned by Shawn was the blue, white, red wizards. Shawn's decks are the Unnatural Mirror Control, Prosperity Bloom, and Torpor's V. And Robin banned Shawn's Unnatural Spirit Mirror Control. So with the remaining choices, Robin has selected the Oath of Clerics deck, and Shawn has elected to play Prosperity Bloom. So let's take a quick look at these deck lists. We have seen both of these decks in action in the Premodern Showdown Series, so we will be brief of these, and then we'll move on to talk about just what we think the key cards are for the matchup. So the Oath of Clerics deck is kind of what I think of as like Zombies 2.0. Zombies was a deck that Robin had piloted in the original Premodern Showdown series, and here we have a lot of similar cards, but and there's quite a bit of overlap actually because a number of the zombies are zombie clerics. So the deck is pretty aggressive, has a little bit of disruption, and then the staying power it has with Rotling Reanimator, and then Oath of Ghouls can be a little grinding engine, and then there's a cute little combo of Dark Supplicant and Scion of Darkness. And so if a game stalls out, you might be able to get those, and you might be able to sneak a 6/6 trample into play that can reanimate stuff. So there's some cool, exciting things, but the first time we saw this deck, it was blisteringly fast, and I don't think that's out of the norm. I think this deck is pretty quick and pretty powerful. Is there anything you wanted to add before we go over to Prosperity Bloom, Flint?
Nope, I'm more excited to talk about the next deck.
All right, well, I'll leave this one to you. I have the deck up. Shawn's playing Prosperity Bloom. Take it away, Flint.
Okay, so arguably the most well-known combo deck of all time in Magic the Gathering, or at least the one that started it all. Pretty straightforward. Play squandered resources, tap your land, sack your land, play natural balance, get more land, tap it, sack it, play Cadaverous Bloom, discard a bunch of cards, play a big prosperity or another natural balance, discard more cards, and eventually drain life your opponent. Shawn's twist here is he's got some plagiarize, he's got some mana leak and some limb duels vaults and spirit guides. But really straightforward deck. Don't really need to say anything more than that. And I'm really excited to see it played again. And I really hope it takes home a W.
Okay, I'll jump over. We have a screen where I have predicted what the key cards of this matchup are. So the two decks on the left are coming from the Oath of Clerics deck, and I have highlighted Duress. So there's 4 copies of Duress in the main deck, and this is Robin's best interaction piece with Shawn, because Shawn is a combo deck where there's not things that aren't going to be on the battlefield. It's going to be except enchantments. So once those are in play, the black deck can't do anything about it. Duress is the best answer to that. And so I think that's the best way that he's going to disrupt the combo and allows him to slow Shawn down just a little bit, enough for his clerics to get across the finish line. Then the other card I pointed out is the Shepherd of Rot, which is kind of interesting because normally you kind of think of this card maybe as a way that if the boards stall out, this is a way to kind of go over the top. And there aren't any creatures in the deck that Shawn has. But the reason why I highlighted this one is because of the card Infernal Contract causes Shawn to lose half his life rounded up. And Shawn might not be able to use that card because of a Shepherd of Rot activation. And it's different than like just damage, because the damage would happen when Robin is attacking, and then losing, or then if he cast Infernal Contract, he would be fine. But the problem is if he goes too low, Robin might have an untapped Shepherd of Rot and be able to kill Shawn on the spot. So that was the one I wanted to highlight. I think it might come into play. Then the cards for Shawn. Squandered Resources is a cheap enchantment, but it is an important mana engine of the deck. It works really well with the natural balance and also prosperity. And also it might be able to sneak in under Duress if Robin has to prioritize playing creatures, or maybe if he just doesn't have Duress right away, this 2-mana enchantment might come down real quick. So I highlighted that one. You could make an argument, I guess Cadaverous Bloom is also pretty important too. But and then kind of one of the ways that Shawn has to counteract the discard is Limdol's Vault. So not only does this not put the card right into your hand, which is kind of advantageous against Duress, it puts it on the top of the library, which is safe from a Duress, but it is just a redundant piece, because if he has one of each piece, and then Duress takes out another, well, Limdo's Vault is like the best way to find that missing piece. So I think that consistency of Limdo's Vault might come into play in this match. Are there any other cards that you can think of that might highly impact the match, Flint?
I think you summed it up quite well, Mike.
Okay, well, let's go on over the match and figure out if anything I said holds true, and we can figure out who's going to be the winner of this match. So on the left we have Robin with a Clerics deck, and Shawn is on the right with Prosperity Bloom. All right, do you want to let them know that they can start?
I did.
Okay. Um, Okay, so Robin's on the play, so that's pretty important for his deck, and then also, oh, well, I was gonna say Dark Ritual can be really important, but he looks like he has two of them. So I think he might just play was that 6 out of the 7 cards from his hand? All right, so
Yep.
why don't you recap
I
what
think-
just happened?
I think he mulliganed too, so he played every card in his hand. So he ritualed. I got 5 mana, went down to 2 to play Priest of Gix, got 3 more, ran out a Rotling Reanimator for that 3, and with the remaining 2, played a Withered Wretch. So he put 6 power on the board on turn 1.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. Well, at least Shawn has a little bit of explosiveness. What did he manage to do right away?
So it looks like he played a Petal and used that for green mana in the swamp to play a Squandered Resources. So pretty good start. And even though Robin has 6 power on the board, Shawn does have the key opener, and he doesn't have to worry about discard, at least for now. So if he can survive the next turn or 2, he may have the time he needs to run out of Bloom and combo off, but we'll see. It is a fast clock.
Yep, so I think he is looking for natural balance and prosperity. I think those 2 cards together, I think, are the cards he really wants, because the natural balance will allow him to he'd be able to play it right away, and then he gets a bunch of mana, and then he can prosperity. So
He just passes here.
all right, well,
No green mana.
he has green mana from the. Oh, it can only be the sacrifice land. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
he doesn't have a Bloom in play.
Okay.
He
All right.
draws.
Well,
Looks.
I guess if there's one good thing is that Shawn is at 2 and not 1, because if you're at 1, then that would shut off Infernal Contract. But
That is very true. Oh, all right. So it looks like he's going to get 2 blue and 2 black here. And then he's going to Spirit Guide.
okay, so this is Cadaverous Bloom.
Yep. Natural balance here would be so good.
Yes, he's exiling 2 cards.
Yep.
It pretty much has to be natural balance, right? Oh, okay,
Oh, there's the Infernal Contract.
Infernal Contract, okay.
I love it. And will we see a scoop, or can you keep going? Come on, Shawn. He has to think here. That's
The pause.
not good.
Pause is not a good sign for the combo player.
No.
But I guess, if you're thinking, then there might be something to do. I guess he's not just dead, most likely. Because at this point, you need to have prosperity and a blue source. Or, is there any other card? I guess you can, if you had Drain Life and Infernal Contract, then you might be thinking, oh, cards are on the table. We have 2 natural balance. So the problem wasn't mana; it was just that he could get more mana, but he can't do anything else because he's at 1, and he'd be able to cast a natural balance and get a bunch of mana, but he can't draw any more cards.
I think he's going to show us what it would happen if he could draw 4 here. There's the prosperity. So yeah,
Yeah.
prosperity would have done it.
So yeah, and that's the thing. Like if Shawn were on the play, then I think he would have taken that game.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well, let's mark that game win to the Oath of Clerics player. And that was a quick one, and I mean it was, even though it was just out of the gates quick, Shawn was just super close to closing that one out.
He definitely was.
Okay, I have the Oath of Clerics list up. Do you want to talk about sideboarding? What you think um, might be coming in, and how this would improve the matchup for Robin?
Let's take a look here. Contamination. That could be a fun little card to bring in.
So contamination stops the lands, but it wouldn't stop.
Would it stop squandered? Wouldn't stop squandered, would it?
I don't know. That's
I
what
don't think it would.
because I think so. Contamination says whenever a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead of the normal type and amount.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that squandered resources still would be able to get a different color from that.
Yep. So Cabal Therapy comes in then. And then remind me, what is Cabal? Is it Cabal Minion?
Braids Cabal Minion? Are we talking about in the
No,
sideboard?
in the sideboard. What is that?
Oh, Cabal Archon. So it's a
Cabal
2-mana 2/2
Archon.
that has pay black, sacrifice a cleric, and it drains for 2. So
Oh, okay.
which could come into play. It's kind of like a mini Shepherd or Rot that needs mana, but which is fine. But I don't know if it's
I think
slow or if it's too
I think
slow.
it's a little slow. I think he wants that in the grindier games, and this is definitely not a grindy game. I think he's just going to bring in the Cabal Therapies and probably call it a day. Would be my guess. What do you think?
Yeah, I think disruption is just what he wants. I think the pressure is just fine because it's not like he's going to uh really be. It's not like Sean's sweeping away his creatures or really slowing them down. So I think you just want hand disruption. And yeah. All right, so let's jump over to Sean's deck. What looks good there?
Pernicious Steed looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And well, maybe Innocent Blood.
I mean, it's maybe.
It's
Yeah, I was saying
probably better than Plagiarize.
yeah, it just could be really awkward if there's like a Rotling Reanimator in play that it just basically doesn't do really anything.
Oh yeah. Maybe just the Pernicious Steed. I mean, you could bring in Duress, but I feel like you're not really going to get to fire it off unless he keeps a hand with a Duress in it, and Duress is Robin before Robin can disrupt him.
Yeah, I think I just like the deeds you can maybe take out like the Plagiarize and then just be a little bit, and I just try and be a lean combo deck kind of like he was before.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe, I mean, you could maybe take out one contract for a Duress, but I don't know. I don't really like disrupting the game plan a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't think you need the duress in this matchup. Like it's very unlikely that it's going to take out an important spell from Robin, and like once you're going off, I don't think it doesn't matter. So like having one copy, I don't think is very valuable.
Do you think, let me just play devil's advocate here for a moment. Do you think there's any credence to the idea of you take out the 2 Plagiarize for the 2 Deed, and then since you're on the play, you take out 2 Mana Leak and just bring in 2 Duress because you do have an opportunity to Duress and get rid of Disruption? Or do you keep the Mana Leaks in and just snag a Shepherd or Rod or something?
I think it's probably more or less the versatility of Mana Leak is probably just better. That yeah, even though it's better if you have turn 1 duress and hit like a disruption spell, I think Mana Leak will be more consistent.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right. Looks like the chat is not showing up on the main screen. So I think in between games, I will refresh this or restart the stream because I think that's the only solution that I have to it. I don't
Okay.
know exactly why. I mean, it's the same application. It shows up on different scenes, but it's not showing up on the main one. So apologies for that. But our players are shuffling up for their second game, and I mean,
Did you see these? Should I show the chat the pre-modern cards I got today?
sure, you can entertain them with that.
All right, look at these old bordered beauties.
They do look good.
All right. If only, Mike. If only they were pre-modern legal.
I do like Remand. I still don't.
It's so good.
I still don't feel like it's that far off from Memory Lapse though.
Here we go again. Sorry, what were you going to say?
People just need to cast Memory Lapse more often and realize that like it is actually pretty sweet. I think that's my statement, I guess. Plus, it's a Homelands card, and how often do you get to play with those?
It's true. Not a lot of love. All right, I'll let them know that they can start whenever they're ready. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds fine. Which is the best Memory Lapse art? It's going to keep flashing on screen, I think. Because I don't know if I can bring up the other alternate Homelands one. The puzzle head. There's the Mirage one too. And are there any fans of 7th edition? I don't know why, but there's a lot of times that I like the 7th edition art. I feel like there's a lot of people that just are not fans of a lot of these arts, and I don't know if it's just because they basically only come in white border, but there's a lot of 7th edition, like the counterspell I think is pretty sweet.
And there are some good ones.
And,
I agree.
Trying to think of other 7th edition ones. Even like what cards are sweet from 7th edition?
I like the 7th edition Colossus. Is it Colossus of Sardia?
Phyrexian clauses.
Maybe it's Phyrexian Colossus. That one's pretty cool.
I like the Lanarels too. That was pretty cool. But what about Birds of Paradise?
The birds. I don't like the 7th edition birds as much as the older ones.
I like it. I like it. This is like the only artist I've ever like interacted with. I was at like Gen Con, and
Oh,
it
cool.
was like a long time ago, and I didn't really have any interest in artists or whatnot, but I just like started talking to like Edward P. Beard Jr. and was just like chatting him up. And so I think I had Psychotogs were like the only cards I had on me that were his. And I think he signed some of them, and then he made like one has like devil horns.
Sweet.
So I'll have to show those sometimes, but and that I think was at the point where you didn't have to pay for anything to get cards signed. All right,
Those are the days.
we see a turn 1 duress from Robin after Shawn has played Swamp, and he did deploy the Lotus Petal, so that is something. And so it looks like he took out. That's an Innocent Blood, right?
It is an Innocent Blood, and Robin takes it.
So he's leaving a Natural Balance in hand. Do you think that's because Robin either has another discard spell, or he's thinking that without anything else in the hand, the Natural Balance isn't that powerful?
I think he probably has another discard spell.
Okay.
But now Shawn is in an interesting position here, right? he has to decide what he's going to do. He can't cast the balance, can he? Because he just played Squandered, so he only has 3 mana. And this is turn 2, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess he can't play it. So he doesn't really have much of a choice. So Robin will snag it if he does have the other discard spell.
All right. Well, we'll see what Robin does. And I guess like for fans of Shawn, like even if Robin spends his first few turns ripping apart Shawn's hand, well then there's not a clock in play. So it's kind of like
There's the Cabal Therapy.
Shawn can just play it out, and now he's always threatening. Like I guess he probably needs 2 cards. It needs to be like, I mean, I guess a prosperity here like does stuff. I mean, this would be a prosperity for. Oh, well, here we see Infernal Contract. So
Probably worth it at this point in the game.
well, I mean, the one thing to argue is that the uh, life loss is steeper. I mean, I guess because he's losing 10 life right now. So if he were to do it a little bit later, then it's not as costly. But obviously, then Robin would already have a board presence.
Yeah.
So it's tricky to decide that. And so here now we see a follow up Cabal Therapy. What would you name in the dark just after?
I'd probably name Cadaverous Bloom. Or no, I think 1, 2, 3.
Oh wait, did he
1,
draw
2, 3, 4.
3
Cadaverous
cards or
Bloom.
4 cards?
No, he drew 4. He played a Lotus Petal. So
Oh,
he
played
had
a sec. He played another Lotus Pet. Okay.
Well, he had access to 5 mana for Cadaverous Bloom, so he probably didn't have it in his hand.
Yep.
What would I name? Prosperity?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think that makes it. Oh, looks like he named Infernal Contract. Well,
Got it.
I guess that would be like a card that you care about that because you might think, oh, for prosperity, he might have just cast it that turn, so he probably didn't have it. So, yeah, I guess that's a pretty good name there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Brutal. Duress Cabal Therapy.
well, I mean, still the thing is like squandered resources is in play, and that's not going to be leaving, and there's okay. Well, I was gonna say there's not that big of a clock, but it certainly is a lot faster now.
Yeah.
Because this would be attacked him down to 8. Then next turn, he could attack for 3.
2, 3, and then he can Shepherd for 3 is 6, and then untap and Shepherd again.
So the maximum amount of damage he could do on the next turn, he could
7.
He could tap the Shepherd for 3. Well, I guess if he doesn't have anything else, tap it for 3, and then he could sack it to the Carrion Feeder.
Yep.
So he could do 7. So he just needs. So any cleric or any creature would present lethal. So yeah, I think Shawn pretty much needs to go off.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Prosperity.
All right.
He's got to get a balance and a Cadaverous Bloom here.
You could get another Infernal Contract.
It's true.
So how big was this prosperity? Did you see?
4, I believe.
Okay, so that's not super huge. Hmm.
Oh, and he's thinking.
And so, did he play a land this turn?
I believe he did.
I was to say I mean, he must have it.
I think he played an island.
Okay. All right. This is Wonder or Natural Balance. Nope. Elvish Spirit Guide. Cadaverous Bloom. Okay.
Step 2. and then
Make a blocker.
hard cast a blocker. Oh no.
Right. The alternate mode on. Does that buy him a turn? But does Shawn have any cards in hand?
No, he doesn't. That's game.
Yeah, I don't.
He's just dead now.
Dark Supplicant and Rotling Reanimator.
So they're both going to lose 4. Shawn's going to go to 3.
Okay. Yeah, this seems like there's not much that Shawn can do from this position. And he's got to block the Carrion Feeder, right?
Correct. Arg. Alas.
All right, well.
Ross Bloom is taken down again.
Yes, it was. I mean, I just feel so bad, especially like that first game. Like, it was so close to going off. It just that half turn made a huge difference. And even here, like, there was a bunch of disruption, and still was pretty close to going off. I mean, if things went a little bit differently, I think the Prosperity Loom deck easily could have won. All right, sure. Well, enough hearing from us. Let's listen into what the players have to say about the match.
I guess.
Twice, right? This time in the first round. But no, I played this deck a bunch when I built it, it was before I even was invited to season 2. It was before season 1 was done. I built this just as a fun thing, and I tested it a ton back then. And I did have some nice hands where you go like land, ritual, and with a dredge, and then next turn you go like land, ritual, rotline or something, and you just instantly do the thing, and you have a 6/6 and 3 2/2s, you know, which is a pretty good turn too. So it happens, but it's obviously the sad part about this deck is that it's just a little too close to zombies, but it plays very differently when it plays differently. It's just that it has those aggressive hands still, where it just does the thing, does the rotline carrion feeder attacks, and ritual out of duress and the zombie hands.
Yeah.
I was hoping to I mean, I just had to keep those kind of hands against you. Like I can't keep like, oh, this hand has off of goals, ritual, braids, and rotline. That's super cool. Like, yeah, it is, but you're gonna combo me out before I get like 2 combo pieces down, right? So
yeah.
I had to go for I thought I was going to lose game 1. I didn't know exactly. I know your deck can be pretty explosive. So I was like, is this strong enough? I guess on the play, 6 power is pretty damn strong.
I think 6 power on turn 1 on the play. That's a 4-turn clock. And this deck, in the best of times, goes off on turn 3.
Yeah. What I forgot was, so when I saw your turn 1 squander resources, I was like, oh, he has a quick combo. Like, he might come up before I can do anything. But I forgot that your deck uses Infernal Contract, so you like at 2 you can only do it once. That was the big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if I had seen the Drain Lifeline, could have done the second one.
That
oh well.
Would have changed things a little. Obviously, my sideboard was ultra boring. To more therapies and a contamination. For just some slow craft that doesn't do anything against you.
Yeah, I boarded out the plagiarizes because they don't matter, and then the mana leaks were, I don't know. I don't think I really want mana leak against you. Just it helps stop some of those early plays, but I can't stop it. I can't stop a duress with it. So unless I spend a pedal or an ESG or something, so seemed better to just put in some removal with the Innocent Bloods. So
it's obviously like an actually very good card. It's just Rotland can handle that, but I mean it does force me to keep in a 3/3. Oh, sorry, a 2/2/3 against a combo deck, which is pretty annoying to do. So there's that. And
Cool.
if
I
I
mean,
like against,
I'll get them unmuted.
oh yeah, let's do that. Yeah, against my game one hand, it would have been pretty excellent. Hello, fellas.
Hey there.
Hey guys.
Well,
How's it going?
Robin applied a quick beatdown, and it was such a bummer because you were so close to going off that first game. I mean, even the second game,
Yeah.
you were like somewhat close too. I mean, I think a few things had to go your way after you got
Yeah.
disrupted, but you still had a good chance of comboing off there too.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was really close. Like I kind of like ran through what would have happened if I had been able to cast that extra Infernal Contract, or even just had another turn. And the combo was there if I could have cast that. And then I don't know if you guys picked it up, but I picked it up right after we started shuffling. That I had a different line there, which was to Cadaverous Bloom the 3 cards away to get black mana, drain life him for 1, and then go to 2, and then cast the other Infernal Contract. I would have had fewer cards in hand, so I would have, needed to draw the right stuff. But that was at least a line that would have let me Infernal Contract, and then should be able to do at least 1 natural balance, and try to Prosperity for 8 or something like that, with the Cadaverous Bloom already on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So I just at that point need to find either drain life, or Prosperity, to shoot a bunch of cards, because there are 3. It's kind of funny. The whole reason there are 3 drain lives in this deck is because as I was building it, I was like, oh, there's these cases where I might need to be able to cast Infernal Contract, and because it's not the die at end of phase rules anymore, I might need to gain 1 life in order to be able to contract, and then I forgot to do it. So,
Oh no.
yeah. But then the second one, yeah, that one was a little further off. He had a ton of disruption. I was drawing pretty good cards, and he didn't have a fast threat to go with the disruption, so I had a few turns. So there was a chance that one could have worked out. But yeah, it's just really hard. I mean, I tend myself for that one to do the contract, and then he puts down a couple threats, and that's it.
So, did you have any like second thought of maybe holding on to the Infernal Contract, given that you were at 20 and there wasn't any pressure on the board?
I mean, yeah, I debated a little bit about whether or not to do it, but I figured him not having pressure on the board means I have an opportunity to try and draw some cards and get ahead. And I kind of don't want to just sit around and wait for him to put a board presence together while I'm like drawing one card a turn to get a board presence.
Sure.
And then he also ended up therapying for Infernal Contract later, which snagged one. I guess I would have only still had 1 in my hand at that point if I didn't cast the contract. But you don't want to get getting 2 for 1 with with 2 of your 8 draw spells in the deck is painful.
Yep. So was there anything out of the ordinary? I guess on the Infernal Contract name, I thought was like pretty good from Robin. Do you want to walk us through how you deduced that was a card that could be in his hand?
I just felt like he had the exact mana to top down like Cadaverous Bloom the time before. He could have sacked the pedal and sacked both his lands and played Bloom, and I felt like with all my discard, I board into more of it. It's probably worth it for him to just get it down, like when I have no pressure. So since it didn't do that, I don't think I care about a single Prosperity. I don't think I care about a single natural balance. So like the only card that really felt like it mattered was Infernal Contract.
Okay.
There's just not much to like. It's much more interesting to talk about Sean's deck here because for me it was just like, oh, I moved to 6 and I got the hand that did all my permanents on turn 1. That's fun.
Yeah.
It was fun to show that off. It was boring that it interrupted the combo, but it was fun to show off what Priest of Geeks can do because I think that card is like slightly underrated. It's pretty cool.
Well, Shawn, you've got next week to get the win with Prosbloom. So all hope is not lost.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean,
I'm
I
rooting
think
for you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think there are some things I would definitely change about this deck. One of them is Meditate. I don't think Meditate would have been better than Infernal Contract there because I had to use Cadaverous Bloom to be able to cast it. and I didn't have extra blue mana for Meditate. But I think in the grand scheme of things, like having Meditates in the mix is definitely that's definitely a card that you want, I think. Yeah,
I'm telling you,
know,
you gotta run at least one Ill-Gotten Gains in that deck. It's so good.
It's pretty good. I mean,
good.
being able to get your stuff back, you know, there's a lot of good stuff to get back.
You can get back a Cadaverous Bloom, a Natural Balance, and a Prosperity with one Ill-Gotten Gains. It's like,
I mean, I think the Natural Balance is tricky because you have to keep track of how many basics you've pulled out of your deck. But I think you know, a lot of times you only cast one, and then you start going off with Cadaverous Bloom, and you're discarding a bunch of stuff to Cadaverous Bloom, and then you can do things like discard your Drain Life or whatever, and you don't care if you need, you know, to get a Prosperity built up or something like that. But
it's also really good against decks like mine that are just jam-packed discard. It's like it's just
against
the same top deck if your hand is empty.
Yep. Yeah, against like a counterspell deck, it's less good, but yeah, against decks that don't have counterspells, it seems really strong.
For sure.
But the discard is not part of the cost for Ill-Gotten Gains, right? It's part of their solution, right?
No, I just mean that they can refill on counterspells if they've got some in the graveyard.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just thinking about the like in my head the first, I was like, is that because it discards the hand? But no, it doesn't. That's part of the resolution.
Ah, okay.
Any other final thoughts before we wrap up and kind of go to our intermission?
No, I think that was a great showcase of like how powerful Robin's Clerics deck is. There are very few decks that can withstand, particularly that game one, turn one from him. But even game two, just being able to like, you know, methodically rip someone's hand apart and then put down some efficient threats. That's a good deck. And the Carrion Feeder, I was actually the Carrion Feeder at the end, because I blocked his Wretch. I like didn't realize, which is funny because I also was one of the people who helped build the original Zombies deck. But I didn't realize the Rotlung Reanimator into Carrion Feeder for like 7 counters, and I just blocked the Wretch, hoping he would sack the Wretch into the Carrion Feeder to just do an extra damage for me or something. But yeah.
I thought that was extra funny because
it was cool to see.
Like when we built the Zombies deck, I remember you and Man are both being so
all about it. I was so Carrion Feeder.
I'm not sure about it.
I was all about the Carrion Feeder with the Tombstone Stairwell, just extra value to sack all your dudes into it at the end of the turn. But
this is the first time I got to do a Carrion Feeder attack like that, where you just play some Clerics with Summoning Sickness and you can just like sack it all for 7 damage out of nowhere.
Right. Sweet. Yep.
All right.
Well, thanks, guys. Congrats, Robin and Shawn. Better luck next week. We'll see you then.
All right. Later. Bye.
Okay, let's talk about Robin and Shawn. We have a card up here. We can learn a little bit more about them. So we asked the players how they picked the 3 decks that they brought to the Premodern Showdown series. And so Robin is kind of a little bit of the exception. I mean, not that he is not a creative mind in the Premodern scene, but Robin was the winner of the Premodern Showdown Series 1. So that was kind of the main reason why he got invited to this. So he kind of plays along with that. As you can tell with his decks, that they tend to be a little bit more spiky than the other ones as compared to the other ones are a little bit more over the top or inconsistent or whatnot. But he said they were the 3 spiciest decks in my mana stack when I was asked to join. He said, I'm not that spicy. So that's how the 3 decks that Robin brought came to life. So I asked, if you could only keep one of your Magic cards, which would you keep and why? Which I feel like is a very hard question to answer. But he said, I have a crumble that is altered to say Crumbled Hopes at last place with a giant turd on it and brings back some good memories. And so I like that. I mean, not a card that has actual monetary value, but one that is just all sentimental. And I mean, I guess at that point, if like you're losing that much of your Magic card collection, like I'm just thinking like to a fire or something, that does it really do you that much to have the most valuable card? Maybe it does, but it's kind of like maybe you just want the one that is kind of represents a memory, and I think this encompasses it pretty well, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, unless you had like a alpha or beta Black Lotus or something to where you could buy back most of the cards that you had by selling it, then yeah, I think you're spot on.
Yeah. Oh yes, the player is pirates or ninjas, and Robin says pirates. Yar. Are you pirates or ninjas, Flint?
Yar, pirates.
Cool. So we're mono pirates right now. All right, sounds good. Favorite video game is Zelda: A Link to the Past.
Solid.
Yep, I like that one. I've played that one. I get stuck a lot. I feel bad, like, because I mean the Zelda games usually aren't particularly like difficult. They're usually like a couple things that like trip you up. But I just remember playing. I mean, this is probably 5 or 10 years ago at this point, but still, I mean, I'm an adult at that point. I should be able to beat these because I think I played it for when they re-released it for the Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
And I still got stuck, so I felt bad about that one. But yeah, that game is sweet. We asked, how long could you hold your breath underwater? And Robin is apparently quite the swimmer and can hold his breath for 2 seconds. So I don't know if that's just a joke or if he is the least aquatic person. And he says, I hate water. All right. Fair enough. So I think, yeah, 2 seconds is probably, let's hope that Robin never starts drowning in a pool, because I don't think he'd last very long with that rate. All right, let's move over to Shawn. So how did you pick your 3 decks? And this is summarizing what Shawn wrote. He gave me quite the detailed summary of how he did it. And I think he kind of verbally described in maybe one of the earlier episodes, but he said he started by reading every pre-modern card that was legal. So he just went through the list and he kind of noted everything that seemed to have potential, that was interesting. So he had a list of 400 cards. So I guess I don't know what the number of legal pre-modern cards are, but 400 is still a pretty big list. And then he made that into 46 different decks of varying ideas. So the ones that spoke out, he kind of had 46 different versions of decks. That he whittled it down to 19, and then I think he kind of presented us, and I think he compartmentalized them, kind of like, this is like different power levels that I'm thinking, and because he kind of wanted to give us options of where we were at, thinking, just wanted to make sure, because that's the thing when you kind of have a creative format like this, you could go very deep, and if everyone is on that level, then it works out perfectly. But if you have one person who's just trying to just reach the minimum of creativity and just go for competitiveness, then it's probably going to beat down on a deck that is just going buck wild on creativeness. So we definitely picked ones that really excited us, and I think Shawn's decks, well, he doesn't have the record to show for it, but definitely have been very exciting. I think he is on the short list of players that I most look forward to seeing in action in the Premodern Showdown series. So I'm very, very glad that he brought these 3 decks, even though if he has any disappointment in his record, I think it should be noted that I think everyone has really enjoyed what he has brought to the table.
Absolutely.
So if you could only keep one of your Magic cards, he would keep his Beta Time Walk. Seemed like the most powerful card to as a kid, and it was his holy grail, and it's his only beta power. So kind of hits both notes there, that I guess it is a valuable card, but then also has a lot of meaning in terms of something you enjoyed as a kid, and it's like a very rarity in your collection. So pretty cool. Shawn is on the Pirates train. He's got an eye patch. No dark suits and stealthiness. We're just blunt and making noise. His favorite video game is Oblivion, and I know, Flint, you're an Elder Scrolls fan.
I am.
How does Oblivion line up in the the Morrowind series?
It's really good. I thought it was better than Morrowind itself. I probably have played more Skyrim than the others, but Oblivion's pretty solid.
So, fun fact about Oblivion: I used to live in an apartment, and I was taking out the trash one time, and just found a bunch of stuff on top of the dumpster. One of it was a box, like the box of Oblivion, and the video game was in there, and so I took it. I took it out of the trash, and not even probably
Just randomly rummaging through trash, eh, Mike?
it was on the top. I mean, I would always look before I would throw my stuff on, and that was there. Not even. I don't know if it was the most. I have another story on something I pulled out of that dumpster. Maybe I'll tell us for a different time. But yep.
Mike always has a dumpster story. Folks.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah, and I still have not played that much of Oblivion. I played more of the original Morrowind Elder Scrolls, but I never got into Morrowind as much. It felt too open for me. Like I felt like it was just so overwhelming where it's like I want a little bit more direction of telling me where to go. And that game was just very open, at least from what I had ever encountered. It was overwhelming for me. Also, some of the characters just run very funny in the original Morrowind. The cat people, their skins are just they're funny to watch. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but how long can you hold your breath underwater? Shawn will outswim Robin, that's for sure. He predicts 45 seconds. That's respectable, I think. So
Agreed.
okay, should we do the other two players right now, or do you want to save that for the second match?
Let's save it for after the second match.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the other players set up. I'm actually going to reboot the stream because I think that will solve and have the chat show up in. So there'll just be a quick blip, and I'll restart it real quick. But then we're going to get our other players set up in the meantime. So we will be right back. So guys, stay tuned, and we will be ready shortly with our second match of the night. Okay, everybody, thanks for sticking with my technical difficulties. I think everything now should be okay. Of course, when I restarted the stream, the application was not launching, so I was frantically trying to change things, but I think I got it figured out. Okay, so let's talk about our second match, and it looks like my screen has reverted back to an old version. So the bottom match is Aaron Dix against Gabe Farkas is what we will be seeing. So let's figure out what they're playing. The band screen we have. Aaron's 3 decks are Junfire's Rock, Forbidden, and Bant Counter Slivers. And Gabe's 3 decks are Netherhops, Fairies, and Dothi Aggro. And so Aaron's Forbidden deck was banned, and then Gabe's Netherhops deck was banned. So with this, Aaron has elected to play the Junfire's Rock deck, and Gabe will be battling with the Dothi Aggro deck. So this could be an interesting matchup. I'm excited to see how this plays out. Let's take a quick look at the decks. So what's going on with the Junfire's Rock is kind of if you took your standard rock deck, the green-black control deck, and then you're going to add some red elements. That is going to give you some copies of Lightning Bolt for removal. It's going to give you Fires of Yavimaya, which can give all your creatures haste and really is dynamic. I guess it could play different in a lot of matchups. A deck will play very differently if there's a Fires of Yavimaya on their opponent's battlefield than if it's not there. You're really scared of how much damage you can take. And then there's Thunderscape Familiar, as well as Shivan-Worm. Shivan-Worm is a big heavy hitter. It can trample over. It does have the cost that you have to pick up a red or green creature, but the 7/7 Trampler can come out of nowhere if there's a Fires of Yavimaya in play. So is there anything you want to say about this Jund Rockfires deck?
Nope, we've seen it before. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. The deck that Gabe will be playing is the Dothi Aggro deck. So this Suicide Black-esque deck has a little bit of tricks in terms of some sacrifice or graveyard interactions. Cards like Carrion Feeder or Phyrexian Ghoul want to sacrifice creatures for their own benefit. And then Necrotog is a creature that can exile the top creature card of your graveyard to get a temporary boost. So you might have an explosive turn where the Phyrexian Ghoul eats a bunch of creatures, and the Necrotog eats them from the graveyard, and then you're able to swing through. And one card that is in there that normally you don't see is Dothi Embrace, and that can give creature shadow. So that can help give evasion to either of the aforementioned cards to get them through a board stall. All right, so let's move over to the key cards of the match. So I predict that Pernicious Deed will be a player. Oh, this is not. Okay, let me rub. This is from last week.
Just kidding.
Okay. Well, Pernicious Deed is on the list, but it is a card that I have selected, but I have to update it. Hold on. Let's find. Here we go. Okay, so again, Pernicious Deed, like I said, I think that will be an important card because Gabe is often going to be playing to the board. A lot of his creatures are the reliable source of damage, and Pernicious Deed is a way to get that card advantage, reset the board. Not only that, does it knock out a lot of Gabe's cards, but Aaron might have a board presence with Blastoderm or Ravenous Baloth, where the 4-mana cards are bigger than what he would activate Deed for. I think Deed will probably need to be activated for 3 a lot of the time because there are a number of 3-drops that Gabe has, but anything bigger than that I think will stick around on Aaron's board. And then I kind of talked about Fires the Yavimaya. I think given that that can really change the clock, just knowing that the creatures that can come down have haste, getting hit for 5 for Blastoderm or even more with a Spirit Monger and then sacrificing Fires the Yavimaya could be 8 damage, or Shivan Worm could be 9 out of nowhere. Gabe might always have to have that in the back of his mind if there's a Fires the Yavimaya on board for Aaron. So that could come into play for racing situations. For Gabe's deck, I think the Dothi Slayer will be an important card. The 2/2 Shadow will just be a consistent clock that he needs to chip in. Aaron will have a number of creatures and could come up the board for other creatures, but the shadow creature can get in. And then kind of extending that thought, the Dothi Embrace is a way to give evasion to creatures and could allow a Phyrexian Ghoul to get through and deal a bunch of damage. One thing to note is the Dothi Embrace can target creatures your opponents control. So if Aaron just has one creature, then and assuming that Gabe doesn't have any shadow creatures, he could give Aaron's creature shadow and then attack with all his creatures. So could be pretty interesting. Are there any other cards that you anticipate having an important role in the matchup, Flint?
It'd be interesting to see if Bad Moon plays a role here, beefing up Gabe's creatures to the point where they can start to trade with some of Aaron's bigger cards. But I think that he's always going to have the fear of the deed in him. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Let's jump over to the match. Hopefully this is still current. Yes. Okay. Looks like everything's good. We got our chat on screen. That looks a lot better. Let's get things started. So who was on the play for the first game?
Aaron.
Okay. All right. I think I forgot to send out a poll for the first match. So I will type up the second one so you guys can predict who you think is going to win this match. So I will type this up and you guys can vote. Flint, if you want to let the players know what's going on, and the audience as well.
All right. So Aaron here on the play with the Bloodstained Mire, and being on the play really does matter a lot because Gabe's deck is arguably a little bit faster with the Dark Rituals, so having a bit of a cushion for Aaron, I think, is going to be very helpful. It's going to fetch a Swamp, so maybe see a discard spell here.
All right.
Yeah, there's the duress. You see 3 lands, a Nantuko Shade, a Phyrexian Ghoul, and a Carrion Feeder. So that is a swing and a miss for Aaron.
Okay. And so it was Nantuko Shade, so it's just a nice 1, 2, 3, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, that'll be a nice clean curve for Gabe. So I guess it's a small victory for Gabe knowing that the duress just missed. But and then better to have it on the top of your deck in some instances, I guess.
There we go.
The Dark Ritual, very powerful.
So cool we get to play with it.
Yes. And I mean, we're doing fair things here, right? Just playing some creatures.
Exactly.
All right. Thunderscape Familiar. If you would have asked and said, if I would have said which Kavu is in the main deck of Aaron, what would you guess normally?
If I just saw the name of the deck,
Yep.
Flame Tongue is what I would guess, obviously.
Yeah. Not true.
Not true.
Flame Tongue Kavu is in the sideboard. Well, this guy gets all the limelight, and like it's pretty interesting here. Oh, let me bring it back up as it fades away. The First Strike is pretty interesting here, and interesting that the Carrion Feeder got sent in.
Yeah.
Because would you be willing to sacrifice your Nantuko Shade?
And he blocked the shade? What's going on?
I think he blocked and then took it back. Not sure.
Huh. Oh, nice follow-up here too with the Dothi Slayer.
Michael says Kavu Titan is underrated. Would you agree or disagree?
I would probably, well, in what, in pre-modern?
Yeah.
It's probably not underrated at all.
Properly rated. I was to say, I mean, like, it certainly can't be overrated because I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk or play about this card. I have thought about this card, and I mean, I do like just like creatures, but okay. Going back to the combat, so it looks like we backed up 3 damage. We'll go through, and then Dothi Slayer will be added. So seems like the top of the deck has been pretty good for Gabe so far. He's drawn the Dark Ritual and then drawn a 2-drop, so he's proven out nicely. But it's not like Aaron is out of the woods or is out of it. He easily can just have some creatures or like Pernicious Deed and really kind of equalize them.
So Aaron cycled a Croson Tusker, it looks like, for a forest and passes.
All right, so that's probably not the most exciting play there. Kind of spending your turn to do that. I guess the only thing that Gabe has to worry about is his Pernicious Deed would cost 1 less, so it would cost 2. And I guess he would only have 2 additional mana. Yeah, that would still be a pretty big board wipe. I mean, I guess you just blow it up right away, and the Phyrexian Ghoul could sacrifice all the creatures, but it's only temporary, and that would be a good board reset. So something that Gabe needs to consider.
It looks like Aaron's down to 11.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, would you want to kind of conservative play around a sweeper, but the card like something like Phyrexian Ghoul really isn't very good like after someone like sweeps the board. So it's like you kind of just need to play into it. So yeah, it's interesting that last block, like that he wasn't willing to put the Thunderscape Familiar in front of the Carrion Feeder, because then I feel like I'd be willing to trade Thunderscape Familiar for Nantuko Shade in that spot. But here we see a Ravenous Baloth. Looks like he overtapped, right?
No, he played a Lightning Bolt to kill the Nantuko Shade while Gabe was tapped out.
Okay, I missed that. All right. That makes more sense then.
Mhm.
And Baloth is a big beefy card and also can pad his life total. So if something like Dothi Slayer is coming in turn after turn, the Ravenous Baloth is probably not the best, but a decent way to interact with that because you could just gain some life and kind of tempo them out.
I was just about to point this out. And it looks like Andy mentioned it in chat as well. I'm surprised Gabe didn't just sack the shade to the carrying feeder to get counter in response.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't.
Yeah, looks like it was a miss. So Gabe trying to figure out what his attack. Okay, so he's just going to swing with the team.
I think I'd be. Well, let's see. Problem is, like I would say, if you put Thunderscape Familiar on the carrying feeder and the Ravenous Baloth, but then you just sack both creatures to the. Yeah, okay, this makes sense. Wait, why is the Ravenous Baloth dying?
He sacked it in response to gain life after blocking.
He blocked the Phyrexian Ghoul?
Yeah, he blocked the ghoul.
Okay. All right.
So he's at 13.
Yep. Took 4 and then gained, or took 2 and then gained 4.
Yeah.
So couldn't he just have blocked like the carrying feeder? I mean, I guess you would take 6, but you'd still have a Ravenous Baloth. Then you could just block next turn. I don't know. There's a Shivan Worm. Okay. So, well, this creature is a little bit difficult to play sometimes because you need 5 mana also, and then like a creature to bounce.
And there's a Vendetta.
Okay, so I think Gabe is happy with taking the 7 there.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay.
So this looks pretty good for Gabe, I guess. I mean, like, he's just able to block for 4, and then, and if 2 of it's unblockable, then, all right, here we see the Dothi Embrace. So yeah, this is representing like just so his creatures can get in every turn.
Mm-hmm. Still a 3-turn clock though, as it stands.
That could change with like any creature, right?
Yeah, he's out of cards in hand though.
Yeah, but I mean, like even if he draws it 2 turns later with a Phyrexian Ghoul, it'll allow that to deal the final point in the second turn. So you need to like not draw a creature or any way to deal damage in the next 2 turns. But I think it's basically a 2-turn clock.
Oh, the Spirit Monger comes down. He's going to take a point to play him.
Yeah, which is like a big deal, but because here I mean, it doesn't matter which one you give Shadow, I guess. Oh no, it does matter. You would want to give the Phyrexian Ghoul because otherwise, you'd be able to block the Spirit Monger would be able to block the Dothi Slayer. So
yes. So post combat, he is going to play another Slayer. So now he's got lethal next turn.
Spirit Monger get in.
Rawr.
This is a Pernicious Steed. Nope, a Ravenous Baloth. Okay, so he can go up to. He's at 4. He can go up to 8, but if he draws a creature that costs 2 or less, then he should be okay, right? Oh yeah.
So he's got to attack with those 2.
Okay. Well, so he's gonna sack, and he did have the option to sacrifice the Spirit Monger. I guess that's something that we didn't talk about. That like one creature off the top wouldn't have been enough because this Spirit Monger is a beast. But he looks like he chose to sacrifice the Ravenous Baloth first. So he could have sacrificed one or both. And a Phyrexian
Oh,
Negator.
sweet. This is such a cool matchup. We're seeing Negator, we're seeing Spiritmonger. I love this.
Well, normally the times I guess you would say you just say like, oh, I'll laugh at your Phyrexian Negator because of Spiritmonger, but the Dothi Embrace really pulled through there.
Really mattered. All right. Looks like we're going to go to a game 2. How did the poll end up? Who did people predict was going to win?
I believe that the Junfire's Rock out was voted in favor of winning. I don't see it anymore. All right, I'll go over to the deck screen. We can take a look and figure out how we think the players are going to sideboard for this match. So, one card that seems interesting, just going down the sideboard for Aaron, Earthquake. Earthquake seems. I mean, obviously you bring it in, but it's somewhat resilient to it. Like if you have a card like Phyrexian Ghoul or even Carrion Feeder, or like Nantuko Shade with open mana. Then Earthquake. Though I feel like you're not gonna have open mana very often. If you have a Nantuko Shade, he's probably gonna be pumping it. But the first two, he might be able to sack and keep the creatures alive. Though I guess if you Earthquake for big enough, but then that also like the life total. Like Earthquake does it to players as well, so Aaron might not be at a life total where he has the luxury to do it for that much. That seems good.
Terminate seems good.
Yep.
Claim Tongue Kavu seems good.
Yes. What cards do you think underperform? I think you can take out the hand discard spells, right? The hand disruption.
Yeah, I think you take out the Duresses for sure.
Duresses and 2 Cabal Therapy. So that's 6 cards, and you're bringing in like 7. The last card I would cut would be Trojan Tusker, probably.
Yeah, maybe a Tusker. You could cut a Fires too if you really wanted.
It's a key card. You can't cut that.
if it's in the deck's name, you can't cut it. That's the rule.
All right, let's go over to the Dothi aggro deck. What seems interesting here? Ooh, I'm excited about Dystopia.
I'm excited about Karavik Spite.
Yeah. You could even.
I just love that card.
You could say Diabolic Edict, though. I feel like a lot of times it's going to get like a mana source with like a Birds of Paradise or a Thunderscape Familiar, but maybe that's something that you need. Yeah, I do agree that you should take out Negator. There are just way too many problems like Lightning Bolts and Flame Tongue Kavus that it is a liability having it in play.
Absolutely.
You could maybe maybe make an argument to like have it in on the play, but just there's bolts in the deck, and that just going all in on that I think is way too risky. I think if your matchup's really bad, then maybe you can make the argument of this is how I need to win. But I think Gabe has enough game where I think that is too much of a cost. So yeah, I do agree that the Negator should come out. What else?
What would you cut? Would you cut anything else? So did you think he like I get excited about Karavik Spite, but I don't know if he should actually bring it in. It feels like the longer the game goes, the more it favors Aaron. So
I'm most excited about
something
Dystopia. I think Dystopia would be the first card to bring in.
No, I think Negator's come out and Dystopia comes in. After that, is there a world where you bring in Spite?
Yeah, I think so.
What do you cut?
Well, you have 1 Negator. There's 3 Negators, so I think those 3 come out, and so 2 Dystopias, 1 Karavik Spite. That's where I would start. I mean, maybe a Spite is better than one of the Drain Lives. I don't know. Like, you're not afraid of counter magic, so like Karavik Spite, I don't know, seems pretty good. Maybe card like Carrion Feeder or Carnophage comes out. I don't know. Or maybe like one of the Necrotogs. I don't know. I'm not sure. But like Vendetta seems good. The Dothi Embrace I think was good. What card is listed above Phyrexian Negator? Well,
Bad Moon.
Bad Moon. Okay. Yeah, I think you keep that in. Yeah, I think you just want the Shadow guys. So I think it's good
Yeah.
enough for this. Like it might not always pull the weight with like the rest of the creatures, but I think with the shadow ones, it's great.
Yeah, I think I would probably cut it for Rexian Ghoul.
Okay,
That's probably what I would do. But
yeah,
I
that's
don't know
fair.
if it's right.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, you could also make an argument that if you're cutting like all these 3 drops, I guess you're bringing in 3 drops as well. I was gonna say maybe you could cut a land, but I guess you're already at 19. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump back over to our match. So Gabe was able to take that one down on the draw, so he'll be on the draw again for this game. I mean, I think the sequence was very good. That Dark Ritual was very powerful and can make a lot of his draws a lot quicker. So I think that is something he is looking for.
Definitely.
All right, a wooded foothills will start us off for Aaron. He will find a forest. I'm going to think this is a Birds of Paradise.
You are correct, sir.
I did it.
Achievement unlocked.
Summon mana birds.
Is that the 5th edition one?
Yes.
Nice. All right. So what's oh, okay. Just Carnifex. No ritual here.
And I mean, like, if you just look at this card, like I'm trying to think. I guess Gabe, was he ever in? Like, if he would have taken a few damage from like a Carnifex in the previous game, would Aaron had enough? Maybe not. But the
No, I
one
don't
one
think
life
so.
might add up. Fires of Yavimaya has been added, so this could be the curve that Aaron's really looking for. The turn 1 birds, turn 2 fires, turn 3 Blastoderm. The quick nostalgic fires curve that everyone knows and loves.
We could see it. Yeah, that would be awesome.
There's no Saproling burst though, so I don't think we'll be closing out with that. But okay, we see a Carrion Feeder added. Not the most powerful second turn play. All right, so Gabe uses a Vendetta on the birds. I think he's anticipating a card like Blastoderm that wouldn't be able to be targeted with the Vendetta, so he uses it now while he can.
And it looks like Aaron did take 2 from the Carnifex, so he's at 17.
Right, that's a Kerplusion Forest, so Aaron has access to all colors. I guess that's also another thing is because it was just forest and swamp, right? Like he didn't have the non-basic input. So maybe Gabe also thought that he might be able to cut Aaron off of red mana for what it's worth by taking out the birds.
So he's got a fistful of cards here, trying to decide what he wants to play, it looks like.
Yeah, if he used a bunch of 3-drops, cards like Terminate, Pernicious Deed. What else? I mean, thinking about like if you want to play a Bolt, or maybe like if you want to play a card like Duress or tapping out for something else. I don't know.
He's just going to pass, looks like. Maybe he's got a bolt in his hand.
Yeah. I would have to think that he has, like, if you have like Duress and Terminate, maybe you're thinking of like, okay, if I Duress now, then I can't also Terminate the same turn, so you got to think about when you want to deploy it. Duress gets worse as the game goes on, but yeah, so it could be something like that. Great. If Gabe's hesitate, it looked like he was hesitating like pre-combat. There's not really
Yeah.
any like pre-combat tricks, are there?
Maybe he was going to run something out and then was like, no, wait. Slayer. Maybe he was hoping that Aaron was going to bolt one of his creatures before he ran out the shadow. But it looks like he's not.
Let's take a look at this key card. All right. Yeah, I do think the Dothi Slayer, is definitely was powerful that last game, and in combination with the Dothi Embrace, just made the damage come through that Aaron couldn't really do anything about it. Here we see a fetch land activated, and this is like the kind of against this kind of deck where taking a point every now and then could add up. So it'll be interesting to see when the game ends how close Aaron was to living like another turn. He's taken 2 from his lands. Ooh, there we see an earthquake. Ooh, but it was again, if it was for 2, why didn't he use the carrion feeder?
Yeah.
I'm not following.
What did we miss? Chat, did we miss something?
He only used 2
He had
mana.
a feeder, a carnophage, and a slayer, right? So he could sack
the other 2, and then
yeah.
the carrion feeder is a 3/3.
Now it's gonna get a little hard.
And then a hasty spirit monger.
Oh.
Ooh, then the diabolic edict is met. All right, that's the perfect answer. Since you're very unlikely to get a spirit monger with a vendetta.
All right, Necrotog.
And he's got food for thought right there. There's 3 creatures. So
Bring up that adorable red-eyed carcass eater.
Yes. So this could be as much as 7 next turn. Right? There aren't any other creatures, right?
It's just the 3, I believe. There he is. He just wanted more creatures in the grave for Tog. Maybe, but I think if I were Gabe, I'd much rather have that 3/3 in play for the beatdown. Be a much quicker game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dirty deeds.
Well, I mean, this isn't the worst. Like, I think you can kind of maybe like chip in, like you could do it for like activate it once or maybe twice and kind of force him to use the deed. Aaron's 2 for winning himself, and then Gabe could then play a creature afterwards. So of all board states, I think not that he doesn't mind it, but I mean I think he's set up that he still could be in a decent position.
Does Aaron only have 1 card in hand?
Looks like it. Yes, definitely looks like it.
3. Yeah, so yeah, I think you just maybe activate it once here.
I guess it depends on like if you have like a 1-drop and a 2-drop, then I think I might be a little bit more aggressive with it because you almost want him to activate the deed so that you can like deploy the rest of your hand.
So Aaron's gonna take 2 from his cities and he is gonna pop it.
Oh yeah, that like even makes it even more awkward that you have to take 2 damage to activate the deed on this turn. So here we'll be like if Gabe can just slam down 1 or 2 creatures. So here's the Fire Arcane Ghoul. Okay, so not the most intimidating by itself, but
the lone ghoul.
But I mean, it's still like source of damage, so it's he's a bolt. So
still only 1 card in hand. Gabe's up to 4 now.
And Gabe also maybe one of those cards is a Karavik Bite, so maybe he's just looking to get it down to
tap those cities, Aaron. Tap those cities.
Yeah. Just get him in spite range, Gabe.
So he's just gonna pass here with 4.
That's. I mean, cards that you would save: Diabolic Edict, Vendetta,
Drain Life.
Is pretty much every creature you would want to play, right? You could make an argument for holding back Dothi Embrace, but I think you would just play it out.
He could have a Dystopia in his hands too.
That's true.
Just waiting for Aaron to run out another creature here. a Blastoderm would be a nice snag.
Mm-hmm. There's a
Us.
Frozen Tusker. He's only one away from casting that guy though. But I guess he would have to take 2 damage to do it. So
He's got to be mindful of spite because I think what didn't Gabe win with it the last time he played this deck?
I think it was the first time he played with it. I think last time. I don't know if this is. I think the 3rd time he's played Dothi aggro deck, and I don't know if he had Karavek Spite the last time.
Gotcha.
All right, so the big boy Tusker gets cycled. All right.
All right.
More Phyrexian
Another
goes.
ghoul.
I mean, it might get the job done. So we're knocking on the ghoul, but
We'll see. I mean, the thing to think about is if Gabe had sacked to the feeder, he would have gotten in at least 1 hit with it, and Aaron would be at 5 life right now.
yeah, the game would be very different.
Yeah.
Well, and you just yeah. Factor fiction mode. That's I guess green's factor fiction is not quite as powerful as blue's factor fiction, I guess.
Not quite.
All right. So the Flame Tongue Kabu. So again, like this Flame Tongue Kabu should have. Gabe needs to use the sacrifice abilities of his creatures because he could sacrifice the ghoul when the Phyrex or the Flame Tongue Kabu is on the stack, and then the Flame Tongue Kabu has to hit itself. So another missed opportunity for Gabe.
Yeah. It's the 3rd misplay. Poor Gabe. Come on.
Good old Flame Tongue Kabu will shoot whatever he sees, even if he's looking in a mirror, I guess.
Do you think Aaron even realized it? Like he's seen Gabe misplay with sacrifice effects twice already. Do you think he's just like,
well, it gets rid of the creature either way. Like if you're willing to use it as a removal spell,
sure,
it's just gravy if your creature stays in play. So
now Gabe's in a rough spot.
Yep.
And Flame Tongue is just a Kavu. It's not a beast, correct?
Unless it's been errated. The original one's definitely just a Kavu.
Yeah. So ritual.
Well, that'd be a card that Gabe could have had. So is this a Drain Life? No. More Phyrexian Ghouls. Dystopia. Okay.
That's pretty good.
I mean, Aaron will still be able to just gain 4 life. But Gabe might. I don't know. He's at 11. I missed a attack. So I don't know how long he'll be able to keep around this Dystopia, but Dystopia is a nice card because it will kind of prevent Aaron from playing to the board with green or white creatures, green permanents for a few turns. The life will get too much for a while. Madcat2030, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. We see a Terminate was played. That gets rid of the Phyrexian Ghoul, and then that allows the Kabu to crash in for 4. All right. 4 life was gained from the Baloth, as we talked about. Then he takes 1 from the City Brass. Gabe says, sacrifice a green permanent. I guess the fires. He just played the fires, okay.
He just played it, yeah.
So what Aaron will be able to do is he'll go to the turn, there'll be a Dystopia trigger on the stack. He'll be able to use the Fires of Yavimaya and sacrifice it to give his Flame Tongue Kabu +2/+2 for the turn.
Yep.
And if Gabe paid a life, then that's lethal.
It paid a life.
Would you pay a life there?
It would depend on if I had a Drain Life in my hand.
Or
or Vendetta.
Or creatures to block with.
Yeah.
Probably his hand is probably just all Phyrexian ghouls, right? That seems like what his hand has been this entire game.
Yeah.
Well, then Tuco Shade can block.
Yep.
It can even still trade with the Flame Tongue Kavu because it can go up to 4 power. So yep, we see that line that the Kavu will get +2/+2. So the Kavu is temporarily a 6/4. So any removal spell. So a bolt here would be enough. Terminate would be good enough.
Terminate would be great.
Pernicious Deed would be good enough. Earthquake for 3 will be good enough. Is there a Dark Ritual and a
Dark
Caravex
Ritual.
fight? Oh, he can pump it. Okay. So
Oh, interesting.
that's cool.
Now you can trade with the Flame Tongue Kavu as well.
Yep. Well, that actually was really good. Because now Gabe, yeah, he might be thinking about a card like Dark Ritual and Caravex Spite, and maybe he wants to stay above 5. So that might be the reason why he didn't want to do it. Also, if he is tapping the City of Brasses, I don't know if that changes like how much damage he can take. Okay, so Aaron chose not to attack with the
Yeah, he
flank.
just passed.
What do you think about that? Because now Gabe can just. Oh, I guess if he has 5 lands. Okay, so he can only represent 7 unless he has more. So I mean, unless you want to represent Caravex Spite or something, or Drain Life wouldn't do it. I guess Drain Life would just hit the Kabu probably.
Yeah.
Right. So, but even like a creature, just like any creature, if you just attack and like play a creature to block the Flame Tongue Kabu, then you're chipping in for damage. I think I might have attacked with the Flame Tongue Kabu. All right, we see a nasty blasty. And this guy will do a good job of, well, yeah, I mean, so Gabe pretty much needs, well, if he plays a creature, then his Nantuko Shade is unlikely to get big enough to kill the Blaster now, so now he's definitely in trouble. If he would have had a creature in the last turn, it would have been a lot different, but I think he pretty much needs a removal spell. It needs to be pretty, but then
I'm surprised he didn't attack last turn.
well, it's just a bluff from Gabe, right? Like, because if Aaron just takes it, Gabe can put him to 1, and then he just dies to the Flame Tongue Kabu. Are you saying the Aaron on the last turn?
No, I'm saying Gabe because like he had 4 mana, right?
He had
And so
5.
He attacks.
He had 5 last turn.
So he attacks, and then if Aaron doesn't block and Gabe has Spite, Aaron just loses.
Yeah.
So he has to block. Well, he should.
You could just say I'm not going to beat a
There's the
Spite.
bolt.
Okay.
All right.
So that'll finish off a Gabe Farkas.
So we're going to game 3.
Yeah, I think these games could be a lot different if Gabe were using the sacrifice abilities on his creatures. I think that would make life a lot more difficult for Aaron.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over. Let's start doing our player cards. We'll talk about Aaron and Gabe as they shuffle up for the next game. Button does not want to move over. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So we have Aaron's card. How'd you pick your 3 decks? He said. It had all colors represented, 3 different speeds and strategies, no cards or colors repeated in all 3. So a well-balanced mix. I think he was kind of thinking about the audience in that effect wanted a variety of strategies, and has a good representation between his decks, which is pretty cool. If you only got to keep one of your Magic cards, which would you keep and why? So he says Lotus. Seems super obvious. So
He's referring to Lotus Petal, of course.
oh yes, Lotus Bloom or Lotus Guardian. I think it's Lotus Guardian. That's probably
Lotus Veil.
I mean,
That's actually worth a little bit of money these days, but
oh, I like how I okay, so I screwed up the editing. Pirates or ninjas, he said Portal 2. That was not his response, but his response I believe was Pirates as well. I think we were mono Pirates. I could be wrong on that one, but his favorite video game was Portal 2. So I have not played either of the Portal games, and I feel bad about that. But
they're fun.
The cake is a lie, I guess. Yeah, it's one of those games where I've only heard good things about it. So I have a question: is that one of the games that's more like I know it's like a puzzle game, but like, does it have replayability, or is it kind of just an experience and then you're done with it?
That's a good question because I've only played each one once because we didn't own them and I was playing with a friend. So I didn't like them enough to buy them, but they were fun when I did play them.
So when you played with a friend, had they played before?
They had, yes.
That does not seem fun then. I was saying, like, that seems like a game like the struggle is part of like the game, but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. And Aaron says he could hold his breath for 60 seconds underwater. So if we had a contest between the three that we've shown so far, Aaron would be the winner. We would expect so. Okay, we got people talking about 40% experience, then 60% speed running. Well, I mean, the first time you play a game, it's not going to be about speed running.
It's always about speed running.
But the fact that a lot of the puzzles can be solved in multiple ways give it some replayability. Okay. Let's go over. It looks like they're still shuffling, so we'll go on here for a bit. How did you pick your 3 decks? Gabe said the Nether Hops was because of nostalgia, and he likes blowing stuff up. The Fairies deck was he wanted an unused tribe that had a bunch of synergies. And the Dothi aggro deck started from a shelf that his 11-year-old son had created, and he tuned it. So it was kind of built out of the black cards that Gabe had lying around.
I love it.
Gabe is taking a mulligan right now, so I'll continue going. You could only keep one of your Magic cards. Which would you keep and why? And he says, "Oh no, I didn't update this one. Oh, let me. That was Robin's. So sorry about that. If you want to read off,
is sneaking in here.
Well, what I do is I copy one of them that I do, and then I update the question. So I forgot to update.
I'll go to the next one. So his Pirates or Ninjas, he actually chooses ninjas. Okay. All right. So Gabe's a bit of a ninja. And his favorite video game, he said, well, he gave us 2 answers, but there's a caveat: Mario Kart or Madden, whichever his kids are in the mood for that day. Mario Kart, I'm a big fan of. Never really got into Madden. Not a big sports games player, except for perhaps FIFA. And even then, I don't own it, so I don't like it as much. I don't know. Are you a big sports game fan, Mike?
I wouldn't say a big one, but I played it a lot when I was little. All right, we got Magic going on, so we'll jump back.
Enough about sports. Let's talk zombies, because the first one we see is a carrion feeder.
Okay. Hopefully he can put this one to good use and get into some chip damage, and then maybe he can stay bigger out of earthquake range, which we did see Aaron play 2 last game, because I think he just has 2 in the sideboard. And then
getting in with those sweet beats.
First turn birds is a good start for oh, so here we have the risk it for the biscuit. We gotta, well, I guess with the carrion feeder in play, it's not that risky. So I guess we had talked about this in one of the previous match. Someone had brought up, I think it was Ron, had talked about.
Got to remember his sacrifice.
Yeah, I think he will on this one, but
I hope so.
Given that he has 8 effects to sacrifice the negator, I guess that does take out a lot of the liability. So here, okay, he will put a counter on the carrion feeder. So
hold on, ready?
The crowd goes wild.
Woo!
All right, So I like how he's got a penny. It's like we're doing, or is that a bead? I can't tell. It's one of the two. He's got like an old school counter, no dice.
Nice.
He's attacking for 4.
He doesn't add to the board, so he doesn't want to get blown out, perhaps. But I guess he only has 1 card in his hand, so maybe it's a dark ritual.
Wait, so why did the City of Brass? Why was that used to cast the bolt?
Good question. I do not know.
Instead of the birds.
You see a dirty D. Oh, Baloth, maybe? Blasted Arm? What are we working with? Baloth.
Okay. Well, that will most likely stop the shenanigans. These guys are attacking. So it looks like Gabe's paying life. Well, the Carnifex is on tab. He hasn't updated his life total. Do you want to chime in on that? We see a Vendetta getting cast. So, kind of interesting that Aaron has a choice of whether do you want Gabe to lose life, or do I want to gain life?
And you absolutely want to gain the life.
Okay, so he gains 4 and then takes 4. I'm going to put Gabe at 18.
Yeah, go ahead and put him.
So, whenever a card says flip a coin, I always flip an actual coin. I'm okay with getting weird looks from Gen Zers. The problem with the coins is like they can land on your cards weird. I don't know. I guess it's not like they're really gonna damage it, but a die is just so much easier to control, I feel. Plus, someone might think on a webcam game you have a 2-headed coin. Alright, we see a Pernicious Deed come down. With it being at with Gabe's cards being at 1 mana, he's able to use the deed right away.
Oh, now in the lone ghoul.
This guy's just like a janitor. He's on cleanup crew.
Yeah.
Ghoul. He's always a little bit late to the party, I guess.
Apparently, Andy is very good at flipping coins. He doesn't want to brag, but you know, he just put that out there.
He did, yeah. And I'm gonna put him down to 17 because yeah, he did want to attack with that Carnifex. I guess he could have anticipated it getting blown up, but we see a Diabolic Edict take out a Spiritmonger. So these edicts have been very impressive out of the board. They've worked out really well, and we see a Phyrexian Ghoul chipping in for 2. Oh, he's at. Oh, so Aaron's at 9. I must have missed an attack. Oh no, the 2 damage from the City of Brass. Okay, that's what I missed. Yeah, we'll try and get the players updated. So another Spiritmonger. This one's he's gonna take 1 off of City of Brass. So this will likely stop the attacks from Gabe. So cards he would want: Dothi Slayer, Dothi Embrace, maybe a Necrotog. Though Necrotog against Spiritmonger is not that efficient because you could use your whole graveyard and then.
How about another ghoul?
Yeah, well, I mean that's 4 damage at 1 point, so it's not the worst thing. And like you need to build out a wide board for this card to be effective, so you gotta do what you gotta do. Because I mean, like if you just play 2 more creatures in the next turn, then you're presenting lethal.
Yeah, Rich. We have the life totals correct for our stream or whatever.
Yeah, I think he said that a while ago.
Yeah, they're not looking.
Yeah.
They're too focused on the game. If it starts to matter, I will rejoin so I'm unmuted so I can yell at him. But we'll see. So is it still Aaron's turn? He's deciding whether or not he wants to swing in here.
I don't know. I'm looking at Gabe's hands, and I feel like those kind of look like thinking hands. So I don't know. I guess you probably wouldn't put your hand down with a die if it was your turn.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe we're on Aaron's turn. I don't know how many cards Aaron's working with, so
he's just gonna pass.
Okay.
So Spite is lethal here, right?
Yeah, without any interaction from Aaron, you could
Yeah.
get
If
in
Aaron
for
has a
4.
Terminate or
Yeah.
a Bolt or something, then it's less good. But
Yeah, Phyrexian Ghoul is definitely not like a quality magic card. Ooh, this is exciting.
that's solid.
It's not going to pay off until next turn, but um, and he does kind of want a second swamp for it to be like real effective, because otherwise he basically is just attacking for 2, or if he's like sacking for a creature, then basically you didn't need that if there's only one blocker.
Aaron has multiple cards in hand here.
I
We
can't
haven't seen any Terminates. We've only seen one Bolt, right?
I thought there was a. No, okay, the Terminator was in the previous game.
Yeah.
I keep seeing this Dothi Embrace and thinking it's a Dark Banishing.
He's lining up his mana here. So the card Gabe doesn't want to see would be something like a Ravenous Baloth.
That's true.
Got 4.
Oh, I guess I talked about it needing to activate it twice, and that's wrong. Because you could be able to, if there's just one creature, you'd be able to put it on the Spiritmonger. I talked about that before.
Yep.
So he's representing 4 damage just with the mana he has currently, as long as Aaron doesn't play another creature. So if Aaron plays something like Birds of Paradise, is it better? Yeah, it's better to give like the Spiritmonger Shadow and then attack with both, right? As compared to giving one creature and attacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Definitely
a better exchange.
It looks like they're talking about Phyrexian Ghoul in the chat.
Yep. I think we have the life totals adjusted now. They're
Yep,
showing
we're
17, so it looks like Flint's words have not fallen upon deaf ears. So.
Like they usually do.
Fallen Angel is a card I had I played a lot in the day. I played it with what's it called? Symbiotic Beast. Because that represented a bunch of damage, and you could go turn 5 and then turn 6 and attack for a million gazillion.
I like Phyrexian Ghoul, and you could use Fallen Angel as well, but I like Ghoul and Pattern Rector, right?
Yeah,
That's fun.
I played that deck this month, and I kept trimming the cards of those effects, and I always sideboarded them out. But the deck I played was like
Nice.
it was a lot closer to the rock. Like I had 3 Pernicious Deeds in the main and 1 on the board, and I just always took out the Phyrexian Ghouls and brought in the deed, and so but there was one turn I killed on turn 3, so it was it did its job.
Okay, so Aaron should take a point from the city. He does. He plays Recurring Nightmare and the Familiar. Not in that order, but the Familiar, then the Nightmare.
This has access to getting a Ravenous Baloth, which is
So he's... Oh, yeah. Wow, that's very good.
Yeah, so that is very important. Pattern Rector, the combination is you can get Sapperling Burst to do some damage, or if you have Academy Rector can just get an enchantment, and that could be like Sapperling Burst for some damage, or if you have an extra creature, you can get Pattern Rebirth and then get like a card like Symbiotic Worm. Is typically what it is. If you have that like combo, other than that, like the value cards, I had Pernicious Deed, I had Oath of Ghouls, though I think I would probably play Future Sight in going forward. But yeah, there's some tricks that can play. So we do see the Recurring Nightmare getting sacrificed or getting used to sacrifice the Thornscape Familiar. Thornscape Familiar gets upgraded into a Ravenous Baloth.
Pretty good. And and of course he can gain 8 life here. Gabe only has 2 cards in hand, so he's in a bit of a rough spot now. Tank Terry, I played a Form of the Dragon deck kind of this month in the monthly. And Adam Rice has been a proponent of it for a while now too. So it's around.
As far as like top down design, I think Form of the Dragon probably is at the top. It is pretty awesome. So how does Gabe get out of the situation? Because Aaron's going to be able to gain. He's going to be able to play Recurring Nightmare twice a turn.
Yeah,
I guess like every time you use the Ravenous Bailiff's ability, you have to sacrifice a creature. So I guess you're not just looping creatures per se. So maybe it's not the end of the world, but still could be difficult. So, Gabe took 6 down to 11 from the Spiritmonger. Also, there might be instances, I guess with 2 beasts in play, it's pretty hard to get like damage in and then Karavik Spike kind of thing. But I don't know. And it's kind of interesting dance of with Phyrexian Ghouls, you can sacrifice 1 creature and then like pass the damage for Aaron, and you're kind of saying, are you willing to have these creatures trade, or do you want to gain a life? This is
Dystopia's pretty good.
Yes. Though, let us point out that the color changing effect of Spiritmonger may come into play.
Yes.
This I believe is the first time I can think that I've ever seen this happen.
He did it too.
Well, he didn't need to. Oh, did he sacrifice? Oh, he sacrificed and then changed the color. Okay. He sacrificed for life. Yep. So he didn't sacrifice anything to Dystopia.
Don't you sack on your own upkeep?
Yeah, he put the trigger on the stack. He changed the color. Sacrificed a beast.
Yeah, but he should have a land tapped, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Confused.
Oh. So we see a Phyrexian Ghoul get in the way of the Spiritmonger. It has to mean that like Gabe like doesn't have other creatures in his. Wait, why is this getting 4 counters? That does not have 4 counters on it. And it shouldn't have any counters at all, because it should. The sacrifice ability should have happened. But
Well, did he block it or did he block and sack? Because
I mean, he could sacrifice it to itself. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
I mean, there was a counter on there for a minute, so it looks like Gabe just let it block.
Well, now there's not a counter. What happened? There's a Spearmonger.
He played Recurring Nightmare and
Oh, just so it's untapped. That's why. Okay.
yeah, okay.
So it can block. He used
11 all.
Yeah, he used Recurring Nightmare to give it vigilance. Yep. Well, it looks like Gabe's at 10 because of Dystopia.
Yeah.
There's a Diabolic Edict. Those have been very timely.
They've been really good. I think we underestimated how good they were going to be in this match.
I mean, I'm assuming that Gabe didn't have that Diabolic Edict in his hand, but it would be nice if he was at more light or had another Phyrexian Ghoul in play, and he'd be attacking for 4 instead of 2. But wait, why didn't Aaron go down to 9?
He just tapped to play a Terminate.
Oh, okay.
But Gabe should be at 10. I messaged them.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 11 to 10. Why do they have 11 to 9? Is Dystopia? Is this Why do they have 9? I'm confused.
They have Aaron at 9. He tapped a City of Brass, and he may have tapped for one
they
other.
have Aaron at 9. Okay.
Aaron's at 9. Gabe should be at 10, not 11.
Yeah.
Man, those ghouls. I mean,
well, he paid 1. He paid 1 for sure. He paid 1 turn with Dystopia.
Yeah.
Because there was a turn where he had the Baloth and the.
Yeah, he should have paid once.
Yeah.
They were at 11 all, and then Gabe had to pay for it to go to 10.
Okay, so we see a Fires the Yavimaya, which is a pretty scary card. And so he had to take a damage to do that, so he's at 8. Now here we have...
He's tapping more.
Oh, here's a Blastoderm. So interesting, so Gabe did not attack with Phyrexian Ghoul last turn? I'm very confused.
He played the Ghoul last turn, and then he
Oh.
passed to Aaron.
Oh, okay, there's... Oh, wait, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a replacement one. Okay, there's so many ghouls. Can't keep
All
track
right,
of them
so
all.
chat is saying that he played Dystopia, then said go. Aaron sacrificed before Gabe had to pay upkeep, and then Gabe just didn't pay the upkeep.
So he is at 11?
So he is at 11. But so now Aaron just tapped his City of Brass, right? So he should be at 7.
No, he
No.
he ticked down, I think, on this turn from the...
Okay, from 9.
Because last turn he did not take damage from the fires.
Got it. Okay, we're good. Thanks, chat.
Yeah, for some reason I thought that Dystopia stayed in play longer, but I feel like I would keep it around for 1 life.
I would, yeah, absolutely. Unless he's got another one in his hand.
Well, so we're attacking here, and Gabe is debating whether to block.
Yeah.
How big would a Necrotog be? That would be one beefy Necrotog.
Be a big boy.
One large boy. Alright, so Gabe is taking 5. Down to 6. Ooh, I just thought, what if you played Rotlung Reanimator and Unearth and Phyrexian Ghoul all together? Some...
So many interactions.
Well, I mean, Unearth gets the Phyrexian Ghoul too.
So Gabe's got 1 in hand and Aaron's got 2. And Gabe is thinking, so perhaps he's deciding whether to attack here.
Yeah,
He's gonna
he does.
swing in.
All right, we're at 6 apiece. So Gabe needs a creature to feel somewhat safe, I think. There's an Antuco Shade. Okay. So that represents 4 damage, like at worst, right? Because like you could pump it twice and give it Shadow. But okay, but I guess it's kind of, I guess it's not obligated to block. I guess yeah, because it does have Shroud, so you can't use the fires to pump it. Ooh, and so
Ooh, goes to 5.
goes to 5. That could come into play too. Does Gabe have any cards in hand though? He might not.
No, I think actually he's hellbent. So
Okay.
if he's gonna play a Nightmare here and get back a Baloth or something, then
So there's a deed.
oh, yikes.
This deed for 2, but that deed for 2 won't. He can still only attack for 5 because the fires can't target the.
Yeah. So he's gonna take another point and go to 4 with the city.
Gabe might just be in a top deck Carevex spite mode.
All right, bring on the spite. Can I get a spite in chat?
Spite. I don't think it's a spite. It's a Necrotog. That's
pretty good.
That will be able
Well
to
played.
block, and that's actually really good because if this okay. I guess there's a recurring nightmare in play though. That's a little bit awkward. But the thing is, like the Necrotog can block, live. So so you can't really attack with Blast Storm. And if you just keep waiting, it's going to die. Though the Recurring Nightmare does change that. Okay, so
Going to 3 here.
here's a Shivan Worm. Okay.
Look at that synergy with
Wait,
Blast
that guy
Storm.
doesn't have haste. That guy doesn't have haste. Okay.
No. I was like reaching for my button. No. He's taking it back.
I guess he's attacking first. Well, but then you can block and eat 2 creatures, and then you don't have anything to bounce with a Shivan Worm. So that seems like a mistake. Unless there's like a Birds of Paradise, then Aaron might just be dead now. What's going on? Is it just Recurring Nightmare and Shivan Worm in his hand? Is he just dead now? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think so. This game has been wild, folks.
Yes, it has. You don't need to exile any more than 1, but, right? Yep, the Necrotog gets it done.
My.
That was crazy. That was a big swings and an interesting finish. So looks like the Dothi aggro deck is taking it down. With a
Well, we didn't see Spite, but we got to see everybody's favorite red-eyed carcass-eating creature, right?
I'm trying to think of another one to compete with it and be like, no, this is my favorite one. But yes, yes, this is my favorite red-eyed carcass-eating creature. All right, let's listen to the players, see if we can hear what they want to say.
All right.
Oh my god.
Chump blockers.
That's what yeah. Oh my god. That was like what was I gonna say? You're gonna laugh, but I did not bring in the spites.
Oh really?
Yeah. Cause I just didn't think I'd ever be that far ahead. Was that Wait, Flint, did you just make the face at what I said?
Oh. I gotta unmute them.
Wait, what's the sad trombone for?
For not bringing in the spites.
We just like spite.
I just didn't think like I thought he would like duress them or like whatever. Like it just wasn't. I was scared, so scared of this.
Yeah.
No, I mean, well, it's also like, what do you like? There's only so much I can take out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so this was like 2 weeks in a row now. You guys have like mentally taxed me. Playing against Robin, now playing against this deck was just incredibly like we were just hemming and hawing over every decision point. And then it hit 11:30 and I'm like, Aaron, 1-1, we're just gonna call it a draw.
So, Mike is usually the guy who jumps in here and says, "Hey, did you think about this play or what about that
please
play?"
tell me, because
I'm
I feel
gonna
like
be
I
the guy that does it tonight.
Go for it.
Go back and watch it, Gabe. But there were like at least 3 times in the game where you should have sacrificed a creature or multiple creatures to your carrying feeder, and you didn't.
Really?
And
in
it
game
cost
3?
you. It cost you the game in game 2.
Okay.
For sure.
I was sitting there. I was waiting for that, and I was sitting there holding the bolt. I think
that's what. So I was scared of terminating bolt. I'm like,
well, no,
sacrifice the creature.
He cast Earthquake, and you just let all your creatures die.
Yeah. I left
because I had one in hand, and I was like, oh, I can just rebuild.
No, there's no opportunity cost of sacrificing your 2 creatures that were going to die otherwise.
It's Earthquake for 3.
I figured you were going to.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that.
And then with the Flame Tongue Kavu, you should have just sacked your ghoul to itself, and then the Kavu would have shot itself.
Because it's not a May ability.
It's not a May.
Wait.
So before Flame Tongue comes into play, you sacrifice it.
Sure.
And there weren't any other targets.
Sure, that makes yes. I was trying to think about a way around that, and I've actually like in other games or testing or whatever, I've sacked the ghoul or the feeder to itself to like pump the Necrotog or whatever. So you're right. I should have thought of that. Shame on me. Are you telling me to give up the victory?
No.
No, not at all. That was hard fought on both sides there. So not at all.
So, Aaron, was there just like a brain fart at the end of attacking that Blastoderm into that Necrotog?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
exactly it.
Okay.
Well,
But I told you could go back.
nah,
I mean,
but I had already rolled. I'm like, I had a brain fart just not having the fires and trying to get out of Shivnorm. I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have fires.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, it was just
I brain
Yeah.
farted with the dystopia, not realize I forgetting the stupid. So like, tell me, Aaron, have you ever used the color changing effect of the Spirit Monger before in your life?
I mean, I can't remember one off the top of my head for sure.
It's like what's less common, using that pay green to change the color, or someone putting a +1/+1 counter on a Sengir vampire? Like neither has ever happened.
I would say the Spirit Monger happens less often. The green ability. Yeah, there was something. Yeah, we mentioned that it actually came up and was pretty exciting.
Yeah, because I didn't think about it till afterwards. I'm like, oh, but I don't think I should have lost a life because I never left it out for more than one turn. So I just let it go.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you were right.
You're right.
Yeah. I mean, if not, tell me. But
No,
I'm
no.
gonna go back and watch it. But
We were wrong.
Yeah, we were wrong.
But this is what that's what I took out. Oh, that's what I put in rather. And I took out a drain life because I didn't think I'd get up to enough mana. Took out 2 negators because I was scared of playing them in game 2. 2 bad moons because I'm like, okay, he can make his Spirit Monger bigger. And I didn't want to be taking my own damage.
Sure.
Yeah, mine was the two Cabal therapies, the 4 duresses, and then I went.
And what I was most scared of, honestly, was the duresses. Like, especially in games 2 or 3, when I'm like putting in the hate pieces like the dystopias and the edicts and whatever. I was so worried about the duresses just ripping apart any chance I had to defend or stall or anything.
So I got rid of Tuskers and duresses for just
interesting
removal.
Sure.
So I was surprised you kept cycling the Tuskers. I guess
I never had the 7 mana.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you would have had to take like 2 damage to cast one if you did have 7. I think.
Yeah, it was brutal.
But yeah, the Terminates I was definitely worried about, and the Earthquakes. What is that Earthquake from? What's that?
Portal Second Age.
Portal.
Okay, interesting. I've never seen it before.
It's a great art. I love that one.
Yeah.
What
did you guys think about? Aaron and I were talking about this. The first game, I had the Vendetta in hand, and you played out Aaron. You played out the Baloth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I held on to the Vendetta, thinking we could deal with the Baloth some other way, and I was waiting for you to play out the Worm, to hold out for the Worm. I think that was the right move, right?
I think so. It worked great.
Yeah. Because then the Worm, I knew you were going to bounce back a creature, and then like if I could just get rid of your Worm, then you'd had nothing on board there, and I could just kept swinging in.
Yeah, you're the first aggro deck that I almost brought the negators in against, actually.
Really? Because because I don't have any way to damage them. I'll just it's just from combat, and I feel like you'll have more permanence than me.
I guess it's like kind of like a bluffing game because you're like, do you want to sacrifice creatures to like if I'm blocking with this negator and you could just sacrifice cards of Fire Extinguisher or Necrotog,
Right.
Are you gonna like eat your whole board for me to have like why would I be making this block otherwise? I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting game of chicken there.
So game 3 I had when I mulled down to 6 and my opening hand was it was Carrion Feeder, Dark Writ, Negator, land, and Vendetta maybe? I don't remember what the 6th card was that I kept. I ran out the Carrion Feeder on purpose first, thinking if I had Dark Writ into the Negator and he bolts it, then it's basically like a total board wipe. I basically Yackle hopped myself. And so that's why I ran out the Carrion Feeder first. It's almost like Negator insurance in a way.
Sure.
I don't know if that made sense, if that was the right play or not. But
that makes sense.
I was definitely like scared of the having a naked Negator.
Yep.
This is my favorite part, by the way. I get to see Aaron's Matrix air traffic control setup in big picture. I was just waiting for this all night.
How big is your monitor, Aaron?
The answer is yes.
48 inch.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't know if it was just the angle that it's at, but like obviously it looks massive. So
it does.
No,
Runway 2, you're cleared for takeoff. And
You-
the black shirt, of course.
Do you work from home or is that just all gaming?
It's mostly gaming.
Okay.
Yeah. I set it up. I'll be going back to school here soon, so
Okay.
I set up to,
Nice.
I can do work from this.
But so game 2, sacrificing to the feeder. What else, Flint?
There are, I think, 3
Yeah.
moments that we talked about where you should have
Okay.
sacrificed. So
Wow.
one was Flame Tongue, one was Earthquake, and Mike, I don't.
The other
I don't
one
know
was
if you remember
blocking a
the third.
Spirit Monger and just not letting it get a counter. It didn't matter because he sacrificed it to get a different Spirit Monger, but
Yeah.
um,
Oh, sure. Yeah. So block it and then sack it to itself.
yeah, you had another one in play, but so yeah,
Yeah.
either one. But yeah, you could do it. either
Yeah,
one.
you're right. It just the Spirit Monger got me so tilted at the time. I was like,
Yeah, that one didn't. That one definitely didn't impact anything, given how it played out.
I definitely have like because I know we've been talking about phobias. I definitely have like Timmy phobia. Like a big creature comes down on the other side, and I just lose all rational thought.
Oh God, must
I've
kill
noticed
it.
that
He
about
did-
Let's kill it now.
Yeah, exactly.
There were a couple times when you're like, I think that's game, right? I'm like, I don't know. I think you've still got a chance.
Right. I just see a big creature, and I'm just like, hey, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Gabe's
it's-
offering to scoop it multiple times during the match.
Pretty much, I think I did actually. Are you sure I could pick them up? No, but that's just that I know that about myself. That like when I'm in game, that is like the thing that gets me the most is like I'm like instantly like panicking. Like, how am I going to deal with this? Which is like what it's supposed to happen, right? That's why you play, Spirit Mongers and Blastoderms or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I think the biggest thing I took away from this is Spirit Monger's terrible.
no,
Spirit Monger, I always wish is a different creature.
okay, what would you have had instead?
Blastoderm, Shivan Worm.
Shivan Worm, huh?
Yeah.
But you've got 2 Mongers, you've got 4 Baloths, you've got 4 Blastoderms, and you've got 2 Shivan Worms, right?
Yeah.
So just go up to the full set of Shivan Worms, right? Is what you're saying?
At least I'd play 3 Shivan Worms, and I've actually talked about this recently. I'd go up to 3 Shivan Worms, and I'd probably play another Bolt or over a Spirit Monger.
Is it a Hermit deck at all or no?
It could be. With fires, it could work. Who
Oh,
knows?
sure. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
The other thing is Sapperling Burst. Is that the
Sure.
Yeah, that's an
yeah,
right?
the old fires card? That was like
Yeah.
one of the things I was really on the fence about, and I could have played that over Shivan or over Spirit Monger too.
Okay.
So Shivan Worm is definitely, again, as a huge invasion block fan, Shivan Worm is like was a pet card of mine back in the day too. And for this event, I considered a red-green deck built around basically ramping out Shivan Worm with like Tinder Walls and Orcish Lumberjacks and stuff like that. Just you could pretty reliably get like a turn 2 or 3 Shivan Worm going.
Nice.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it didn't make the final cut. But I think Shivan Worm, like as a 7/7 trampler, just like it just cleans up so much. It smooths over so many things if you get into play, right? And with the familiars or whatever, when you can ramp it out to cast it and then bounce the familiar back. It's like doing double duty, right?
Yep.
So.
Someone suggested you play Aravax. Do you know what that card is?
Who, me or him?
Aaron.
I
No.
don't know what that is.
It's 3 red for a 3/3 haste. When it comes into play, you can search your deck for another one, and then it has like expensive fire breathing, like colorless and red. I don't think it's the right card, but
No, I don't know about that.
Probably not.
Aravax?
It's Avarax.
Avarax. Sounds like a cleaning
Oh,
detergent.
is it from like Nemesis or
No,
Prophecy?
it's from Onslaught.
Onslaught.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because didn't Nemesis and Prophecy have all those ones where like when this comes into play, you can search for 3 more?
Nemesis had those. Onslaught had a cycle too.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, there were like commons ones and uncommon ones, like Screaming Seahawk, Daru,
Yeah.
Soldier.
And let's not forget Llanowar Sentinel from Weatherlight.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What is the name? I want someone to play. I think it's from Onslaught. It's like 3 red for like an ogre, and you have to like secretly bid life, and if you bid more life, it gets like more counters. I want someone to play that card. There was Menacing Ogre.
Yeah, that sounds right. Well, Onslaught also had is it Mage's Duel or Mage's Challenge, right? Whatever, the one where you can counter a spell if you bid enough life.
That's like a Mage's Duel. I thought that was like an invasion card. Mage's Contest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an invasion card.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, my bad. The Bidden Life is interesting. So I actually, this is Aaron and I were talking during the match about like comp sci or stats related stuff, and it reminded me that this just reminded me now, like probably like when I first started getting back into Magic, like 5 years ago or whatever, I wrote a whole program to simulate Goblin game iterations of like, if you have this many life and they have this many life, what's the optimal life to bid and all this crazy stuff. I should dig that up somewhere.
You gotta write it up and call it Goblin Game Theory.
Yeah.
Done. What journal, Finn? What am I looking for?
The Journal of Premodernmagic.com.
Yeah. There is actually, so I'll tell you, as a statistician, there is something called the Journal of Recreational Mathematics, and I bet you they would take that.
Let me know when you want to write it up. I'll write it with you, and we'll
You go off with me.
Yeah, I'll totally
am I first
co-author with
author or
you.
last?
You'd probably be first author if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have to sign any non-disclosure, right? Any non-compete.
Who is? I think. Have we talked about Eric Klug on this before?
I haven't heard of it.
He's an altarist. He's really, really talented.
One of the best.
If you guys haven't heard of it, you should check out his work. He's great. I think he's a person. There's someone on Twitter I've seen that like collects this card and like got, I think, the original art of it. And I think it was Eric Klug, but maybe I'm mixing it up with someone else.
There is a guy who collected like all the Goblin games or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So. Yeah, Goblin Game. If someone plays Goblin Game, then yeah.
I was tempted. I was tempted to throw it into that Thieves Auction deck.
Yeah, that Thieves Auction.
Thieves Auction and Brand, right? That was the kitchen table combo for my group back in the day.
Yeah. Sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah. Just take all your stuff.
All right.
Anyway, thank you guys. This was again 2 weeks in a row of like really interesting, like thought-provoking games with lines.
Yeah.
Like clearly I screwed up many times.
This one hurt my brain.
There were lots of creature combat. Yeah, this was a fun match. Yeah.
There were a few times I'm looking at the play afterwards, going like, oh, shucks.
Yeah.
There were quite a few. This was a tough matchup.
But I got to pump my Necrotog and I got to activate my Dothi Embrace a bunch, so my deck did what it does.
Yeah.
They were fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
Thanks. And now it looks like we have a four-way tie or three-way tie for second place between Gabe, Aaron, and Andy Culpepper right now.
Okay.
With Robin just running away with it again.
And I've got a
Freaking Robin.
Well, and Andy's going to play on Wednesday, so if he wins, right, that would break the tie.
Who's he playing?
He is playing Phil.
Shout out Phil. I'm rooting for you.
heck yeah.
Anthony's playing Brian.
Okay.
Anthony's in 5th place and Brian's in 5th place. So
Right, that'll make it. Yeah.
I think games are going to matter. Games are going to matter.
I think I actually have to win next week or else.
You'll be 4-3.
Yeah.
I mean, so okay, so I'm 4-2 right now, right? So if I lose next week as well, we're both 4-3, and then I don't know what are the tiebreakers games or head to head or what?
The first one is head to head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unlike Mono, I actually read the rules. I just forget them.
Well, if Brian wins next week and you both lose,
He's in.
then it could get really interesting.
Because you said it's head to head is first.
Yes, head to head is the first tiebreaker.
So and I've got head to head over Brian. Did you beat him, Aaron? Oh, you beat him with the Jun Fires versus Solfatara in the first week, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not then.
So we'd both have the tiebreak over him, and then I'd get it over. Yeah, but wow.
I should have taken that draw when you offered it up, Gabe.
I did. I know. 32. I said, you want to call it draw? But that's more because Anyway.
Those were insane games. My brain hurts.
Yeah, they were really fun to watch.
I don't do that much combat math most days.
No. Well, it's kind of like it doesn't always happen in Magic, and it's always nice when it does because it's really a skill that not everyone has. Like it's very difficult to
clearly I don't
to do all the permutations and figure out what's optimal playing around removal spells and what could come off the top and what's more likely. There's a lot of unknowns, and it's really difficult to do. So,
And Aaron, I have a bone to pick with you because you claim you're an aggro player, but you put 2 decks out against like that I had to choose from, both of which have counter spells in them, and I had to ban one of them, and then was fearing the counter spell deck coming into this. So you totally went over the top of me by playing the Fires deck.
I really just hoped you'd give me this one. I thought you might ban Slivers because everybody bans Slivers, and then I would get. I'm like, if I get Fires against, with Deeds and Earthquakes against, creature heavy decks, I'm feeling pretty good against,
So
at the matchup.
I would actually argue that Forbidian is your best deck, even though it's 1-1, because just looking at like Forbidian, I think like what games you're 3-2, this deck that you were 4-2 coming into this, so it's close, right? Like your Forbidian deck could have gone either way, and you lost to Pox, right?
Yeah.
Which, like, everyone loses to Pox
Sure.
because it's a PSS1 deck. No offense, guys. But so like, like Forbidian could have gone. I think Forbidian is arguably your best deck.
Sure. I feel comfortable with all the decks at this point.
Yeah. But I mean, again, black blue is just like, you got the counter spells, you got the duresses, like, yeah.
I still think the better version of that deck might be the Esper build, but it strays a bit further from the original Finkel deck, and also I didn't want to play Meddling Mages in 2 decks.
Fair enough. All right, guys, we're going to bid you adieu for the evening. Thanks again for the
guys,
games. Congrats, Gabe.
Good games, guys.
Good games, Aaron.
Good luck next week to both of you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Okay, let's quickly wrap things up. Let's go back to our get to know the players. So we were talking about Gabe. So let's move over to Gabe. And even though, I was trying to find out what he actually said. So why don't you figure out, why don't you go on as, you're talking about video games.
Yeah.
I don't play a ton of the sports ones, but I do enjoy it. Like if someone's like, let's play Madden or like FIFA or something, I'd be like, sure, that's fine. I enjoy them enough.
Fair enough. Yeah. FIFA's fun. Never really got into the other games, but Mario Kart's a classic. Some versions of it have been not quite as good as others. So there's a little bit of variability in the series, but overall, really, really classic. His last one on here is how long he can hold his breath underwater. 30 seconds. So kind of middle of the road in terms of the group that we went through tonight.
Could you beat that?
I think I could beat that. Yeah.
Okay. It's kind of a hard thing to measure because it's obviously not something that anyone
Hold
would
on,
do.
I'm gonna go stick my head under the sink.
Yeah.
Give me just 1 second.
All right. I said, okay. His actual answer to only get to keep 1 card, he says, I own a beta Juggernaut. So he would keep his beta Juggernaut. So, that finishes off the players that play tonight. You can, I'll have the other 4 on the Wednesday match, and we can learn more about those players. But let's go over to our schedule as we close out tonight. This is the schedule that we're looking at. So we're looking at Wednesday. We have Andy Culpepper going up against Phil Nguyen, and then Anthony Harrison going against Brian Manalakis. Is there anything you're looking forward to on Wednesday specifically?
I don't think so. I mean, at this point, we've kind of seen most of the decks, if not all the decks, right?
Yes, I believe we've seen all the decks.
Seen all of them, right? So we'll just see how the matchups go. I think I'm mostly curious to see what the players decide to ban. But we have a pretty good understanding of the decks at this point.
Yep, I'm kind of looking to see how things shape up to get the top 4. It'll be interesting. It looks like we got a chunk of players that are in contention, so it'll be an interesting last few weeks. So cool. I guess we'll close things out. I guess I do want to remind people, I think one of the slides went up when we were doing our intermission, but the Premodern Spring Fling will be starting soon. The deadline to register is this Thursday at 12 noon Eastern. So if you're interested in playing, register now. You can complete your deck list before you start playing, but you might as well just register now. You can submit it twice. So if you're interested in playing in that, don't hesitate. I think we have 91 players signed up right now. I think is what when I checked it. So
That's great.
A good chunk of people, and looking forward to running that. But other than that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Oh, I think there was a follower that I missed. It was Churfate, CHRF8T. It's so hard to read like people's names like when they got. I don't know if that means something or it's just a bunch of letters. But thank you for the follow. But thank you everyone else for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the matches. I had a lot of fun, especially with that last match. Like I said, the creature combat is sometimes a rarity in pre-modern, and it's really fun when things go back and forth like that. So had a lot of fun tonight. I want to thanks for everyone for supporting the stream and the Premodern Showdown series. We're having fun, and we're gonna keep at it, and as long as you guys like it. So is there anything else you want to add, Flint, before we go?
As usual, I will just plug the friends of the show. So, check out Monster of the Week, check out All Things Considered, check out Premodcast, join the Facebook Premodern Online group. There's always people in there looking for games. It's not just Andrew Walker anymore. It's grown quite a bit. So if you're looking to get into it, want to play test, want to meet people, it's a really good way to do it. I think that's it. I think those are all the things.
All right. So that wraps up our episode 11. So until next time, take care.
Good night, everybody.